You have now told me multiple times the only thing which you value is money.
Yes.
God's not going to feed you. He's not going to clothe you. He's not going to take care of you. Though there's almost every other thing on planet Earth you could do to make money. You took the easy path to make money, and you shared the one thing that men never share, which is their woman, in order to do it. That's why all men everywhere will always consider you lesser than they are.
Wow. Sorry. So that's a bit of a palate cleanser, right? So
I was talking about palates.
Yeah, right?
I'm sorry. I just was like looking at those. I was like, oh. It's like, and I'm thinking Toothless Joe in the trailer park is richer than you are because he knows his wife is his and he'll be back from, driving a truck out on the road to a woman who hasn't thrown her stuff out there on the internet or wherever.
Right.
And has a hot meal waiting for him and a warm hello.
Sure. So that's one comparison. But then to take it even one step deeper, it's not that she's just going out and doing whatever and by choice she is staying home. This guy is actively getting other dudes to sleep with her.
Yeah, I remember, like, I don't know, maybe I'd seen another thing, like a second clip or whatever.
Right.
And that, yeah, and I think it was after I'd seen this one.
Okay.
And I was like, wait, oh.
Yeah.
Talk about fast money, slow problems.
Fast money comes with slow problems.
These are going to be the cracks in the foundation.
What do you mean cracks? This is just like a gaping chasm at this point.
It's like, what do they call it? A sinkhole.
Yeah, it's like you're taking a jackhammer to the foundation of the relationship and you're just like, you know what? Let's have the canyon. Let's see how the house sits when we have a canyon underneath it. Like, there's no way that house is standing.
And everything. Who knew that would happen?
Oh, man. Who knew that would happen? Yeah. This is just insane. And, like, I think that Andrew is right on this, is that the poorest man with a virtuous wife will consider himself far richer than this guy.
I think I read that somewhere.
You going back to Proverbs? Going back to Proverbs on that one? Yeah.
Strength and dignity are her clothing.
Yeah.
Don't take those off.
Yeah. For other people to see. Like, if strength and dignity is being taken off in your own, bedroom for your own purposes, then
you hang those up in your own house.
Yeah, and then you
one person.
You get her back into them afterwards, right? Like, it's just one of those things. It's a sometimes food.
Secrets.
Yeah, but anyway, like, this is disgusting, right?
Yeah.
Pretty clearly. But this guy has got this smug look on his face the whole time.
Yeah, and he's like, you said that all you like is money. He goes, yeah.
Yeah, money. It's like, okay.
I was like, it was just like, I felt like I needed to go take a shower.
Right?
Because I feel gross for you.
Yeah, like, what the heck is this guy going to do when she leaves him for another dude? Like, there ain't no rings on them fingers. There's probably no paperwork.
I don't know.
The money isn't coming from him.
No.
The money is coming from her.
Again, see previous episodes with things about, like, she makes more money than he does.
Right. So
he's a cuck in more ways than one.
Right. And so, yeah. Bottom line, gentlemen, don't share. That's disgusting. Don't do that. And these guys that do this, they are contemptible. And, like, by all means, you can look down on them because, I mean, they're making their own choices and their consequences will come to them. So that was a wild set of reacts today. Let's go ahead and actually get into what we're talking about today. So you sent me a video from Allison Armstrong. I don't remember what the podcast was called, but you kind of introduced...
Two Fun Guys.
Just Two Fun Guys, a smaller podcast. But
she's done a bunch of other, podcasts and stuff, kind of trying to sort of expand her sphere of influence.
Yeah, and you just kind of put her on my radar as far as, like, when you were looking at the first 15 minutes of the podcast, you're like, oh yeah, this kind of, this
To be honest, I just kind of watched 10 minutes of it and I was like, this could be a thing. And just kind of tossed it there and I kind of thought it would sit there.
Yeah, we had some
mixed files.
We had some mixed messages on this one, but that's all right. We'll talk through it anyway.
And it was more of an exercise in one, figuring out our process like for this, like professionally.
Sure.
Professionals, but I'm not a professional. But like, getting more of our dynamic here and helping us learn about this new facet of part of our relationship.
Yeah. Which
was interesting, but also just an exercise in this kind of. It kind of became very meta.
Okay.
A meta lesson.
Cool. Can you go ahead and tell the audience who this person is and kind of like the gist of what she's about?
Okay. So basically, she started almost figuring this kind of dynamic about relationships out when she was a teenager, when she was very young. And even when her, when her kid was small. And all of a sudden she was like, I'm figuring out all this stuff. But then she kind of pushed it aside for almost 3 and some change decades. And finally now in her later years, she started to write a novel that became like this big allegory for how relationships work. And her target audience is women, and she's teaching a lot about how to live, love, and respect men, have an appreciation for male relationships. And so
that's the overlap.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know how it came into my algorithm, probably from, here and there and everywhere. And then it just kind of tossed it in my way. And I was just like, because for me, the thing was, it was called The Queen's Code. And that's what it said in the podcast. Like
that was the novel she wrote.
So I was like, wait, what? So it's actually a fiction novel. And I probably, when I was younger, I would have been like, ooh, this sounds cool. But I would probably be become more of a self-helpy kind of reader. But just sitting there and listening to her talk about it was like, I was like, okay. And my ears pricked up and I was like, maybe this is something. So there's a lot of overlap. It's interesting how she kind of finagled her way and how she kind of took the long way, it seems, where we kind of found this a lot more on a direct path.
Well, I think it's interesting because she came to it from a different set of experiences that we did. Whereas for a lot of it, we have foundations that led us to this a lot more directly than having to go ahead and go through all the experientials to get there eventually, right? Which is a very different way of getting to similar thought processes. And we'll go ahead and get through that here shortly. But the fundamental problem that she kind of like puts out there is the war between the sexes and the idea that there are broken cultural narratives where men are considered to be defective people and women are considered to be nags. And a lot of that is shown in how men and women are represented in popular media and how people show up in relationship without a different foundation from which to build a relationship. And so like, as far as sharing examples of this kind of thing, we see this all over the place. So I would say Home Improvement, you remember with Tim the Toolman Taylor, that was kind of like a big show in the 90s that went through this where like Tim Allen was playing a character that, was a good husband and father, but he was kind of like, a bumbling dad kind of character. And though he had good moral standing, he was shown up as somebody that could not be relied upon, generally speaking. And that his wife, Patricia, had to go ahead and do like all the big important decision making and all the work, and she could be depended on for everything. But then she showed up as a nag rather than showing respectful consideration for her husband. And I think that in a lot of ways, the writing for that show was a little bit ahead of its time in some ways, but in other ways, it was serving as a foundation to build a broken future.
Definitely. And it's almost like they tossed him a proverbial bone by making him like a home improvement show host. So giving him kind of a manly job so he could grunt to his heart's content at work before he got
home and got emasculated.
Browbeaten at home. Yeah. And then I think really shows like Everybody Loves Raymond took it a step further.
Yeah.
Where, okay, they made him like what, a sports writer or something.
I don't remember.
I don't remember exactly either. I really didn't watch the show because already it
turned you off.
It was definitely leaving a sour taste in my mouth. Yeah. Whereas, like I was part of that, 90s TGIF culture, watching Full House and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And, so really that was Home Improvement was kind of like the last bastion of I'm kind of done with these shows.
Yeah. So she goes ahead and puts that the problem statement is that you've got, men are broken, women are nags, but the solution that she brings to it is that men and women aren't enemies, but they operate with different codes. And I think that really flows into a lot of what we say is that we are better together than we are apart. It's like we are puzzle pieces that are meant to fit together, right? And so though she comes at it from a different perspective, there's a lot to be said about the lessons that she provides to women and a lot of things that we can go ahead and gather from that from a male perspective to go ahead and see as green flags in women and as ways to kind of train and cultivate a relationship with a woman. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. So let's go ahead and move on to some of the principles that go on in the Queen's Code. And there are 7 of them that she goes ahead and hits up as different things that if you were to adopt these character concepts or these character traits, that you would be most likely to have a harmonious relationship with a man in marriage, is kind of like the pieces of the puzzle to create harmony in your life. Mm-hmm. So the first thing is honoring men. And the idea is that men aren't defective, they're just wired differently. I'm sure that in 21 years of marriage, you have noticed that we are wired differently.
Very differently.
Right? What is a couple of examples that you would go ahead and put out there to show that though it is different, it is not necessarily a bad thing?
Well, I think the biggest example of how we work so differently, but synergistically.
Okay. Give me an example of what you mean by that.
Is the way that you're just like 30,000 foot view guy.
If this message resonated with you, I'll ask that you go ahead and hit the subscribe button below so that you can go ahead and get more. And I ask that you send this message to someone who could benefit from it. I hope you have a fantastic day.